Today we create history on the 118 Wrestling channel and we do our first ever tier list video. Now if you're regular over on the Rhyme 118 channel, if you watch me over there, you know that I love a tier list, and today I finally get to accomplish the lifelong dream of doing one about wrestling. So, without any further delay, shall we get into it, because I'm excited to do this. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and welcome to 118 Wrestling. If by any chance this is the first video you have watched over here on the 118 Wrestling channel, then welcome yourself in. Be part of the family, be part of the community. It's nice to see you. Today we're going to do a tier list video. It comes off the back of a very exciting episode of Monday Night Raw. And if you're wondering where's all my King of the Ring chat, where's my King of the Ring predictions, don't worry, that's coming. We're going to cover that over the course of this week. But today, I want to do a video which follows on the back of the WWE draft. A very criticised draft, but nonetheless, it's time to look at both rosters. So this is going to be a two-part tier list series. Today we're going to start with the Monday Night Raw roster, and we're going to go through from best to worst and see what the landscape of the Monday Night show is looking like right now with the roster at their disposal. The draft was heavily criticised, not much changed between Raw and SmackDown from the year prior. However, we still have a different roster which I think deserves to be ranked in its own right. So that's exactly what we're doing today. We'll do the SmackDown roster later in the week. Shall we just get into it, because I'm sure that this could take some time. I'm going to try and batter through the 50 or 60 odd wrestlers that there is on the Raw roster. So we should probably get into things. So here we are, the Trusty Tier Maker website. It's my favourite website on earth. If you know me by now, you know how much I love a tier list. And I'm really excited to do this. As you can see, we have got everybody who was drafted to Monday Night Raw in the recent draft down here below. And we're going to try and organise them into these 6 different rows, which ranges from main eventer to just hurry up and release them. I think you catch how these things work by now. It's not too difficult to understand, and I'm going to try and talk about as many of these people that deserve to have, you know, a conversation surrounding their name. We could be here a while, so I will batter through some people and offer very little explanation as to why they find themselves in a certain role. Around the middle it can be difficult, because there's some people who I think still deserve a chance and have potential, but they don't really have a clear place in the card right now. So you'll see the discussion when it begins on certain people. Shall we just get into this? Let's do it. The wrestlers are in a random order, so pardon me as we try and get through them. There's no particular method to me doing this. So that means we start with Alba Fire, recently drafted to Raw, formerly known as Kaylee Ray. Easily goes into the needs a chance / potential row for me. She is unbelievably good. Last night on Raw, Becky Lynch name dropped her and gave her quite the shout out as well. Just a testament to how good she actually is. Since being drafted to the main roster, hasn't done anything, which is a shame, because Alba Fire is one of the most talented women in the roster and deserves to be really highlighted in that women's division. So I hope that that comes soon. The Authors of Pain, recently returning and part of the Final Testament, who take a hell of a lot of criticism, and I'll get to Karrion Kross soon. As for these two, right now, I think that you're probably mid-card, to be quite honest. The Raw Tag Division has lost a couple of big hitters going to SmackDown, but obviously gained a couple, and one of them being the Authors of Pain. I don't know what the situation is going to be with them throughout this whole thing with Karrion Kross, but right now I'd put them in the mid-card section, because they're just back, so I'm not going to say they should be released or whatever, and I think they deserve a solid crack at the whip with Paul Ellering whenever that Final Testament comes to its final chapter. Yeah. If I was doing this a couple of years ago, I think Asuka would go straight into the main event section. But sadly, I think now, as she's coming towards the end of her career and she's getting into her twilight years, I think she kind of falls into the solid but not quite main event section. I would be surprised if we see many or any Asuka world title runs between now and the end of her WWE career, just because of her age and just because there is a lot of younger talent coming through now, especially, when you look in Damage Control and you've got Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane there. So she's still solid, but she's currently injured and there's not been an exact kind of timescale given or reason for injury, whatever it is. So I would say she goes into solid, but not quite main event, because you put her in the ring with anybody and it's going to be great. It's going to work probably because she puts on match after match, which is good to watch. But yeah, solid but not quite main event. Ivy Nile falls into the potential category. I think that, Alba Fire needs a chance and potential, to be fair, but Ivy Nile is purely potential. She's so young, she's fresh to the main roster in the past sort of 12 months and hasn't had too much to do. She's been tag teaming with Maxine Dupree, but there's definitely a talent there. We all know that. We can see the quality in her matches. She's raw, but she's good. So she's definitely in the potential category for now. I want so badly to be able to put Finn Balor up here in main event. I would love to do that, but right now I think he's definitely in this category at the minute, isn't he? Until he splits from Judgment Day, I think he's in here, solid but not quite main event. He's a main event caliber talent, and you can put him in main event matches and he'll put them on for fun, basically. But until he's a singles wrestler again, I don't think we're going to exactly see him in main event pictures, world title pictures. He needs to split from Judgment Day to be back in that conversation, but he's still... And they've got him tied down to this new contract as well, which is absolutely huge. So I'm hoping that we get main event Balor back sometime soon. Braun Breaker right now is in this category as well. Not quite main event yet. He's literally just moved to the main roster, but within a year he will be up here, won't he? I think that his WWE career will start off, being on the upper end of the mid card before he's challenging main event caliber stars month after month, week after week. So for me, he falls into here just now, but it's very early days in his career, so that's hella impressive for him. Some people might argue Braun Strowman could go into this category, but I'm putting him in mid-card as well. I don't see him getting pushed beyond the mid-card or tag team division scene in this run. He might end up getting involved with the Uncle Howdy stuff eventually, but once again, I don't think that will push beyond the mid-card, to be quite honest. So yeah, he kind of falls into there for me. They'll eventually end up putting him back in a tag team with a smaller guy, whether it's Ricochet or someone else. I do like Big Braun, but he's got his limitations, so mid-card for me. I love this guy. I do. I really like him. Big Bronson Reed, but he is like the epitome of a mid-card wrestler, isn't he? He's solidly in the mid-card scene at the minute. I don't know if he'll take that leap to the sort of main event picture. I don't know if he's got it in him. I don't think he's got the same charisma as a lot of the other guys, but he's so good. I love him, and I hope he gets an IC title run sometime soon. He deserves it, because he puts on great match after great match on TV. He's a great TV wrestler, but he's like the epitome of a mid-card guy for me at the minute. I'm going to shock a lot of people here, but I'm putting Carlito down here. I'm not enjoying his return. I think he's quite boring now. So maybe I'm letting personal opinion get involved here, but nothing he's done since he's came back has captivated me. He doesn't feel like the same Carlito. And it's not like anything they've done with this LWO Rey Mysterio betrayal has been exciting. It just feels so stale. And he goes down there for me, which is a shame, because I was so excited when he came back. But until they change up the character and make him Caribbean cool Carlito once more, he's down there, because I have no desire to see him. Let's keep this one short and sweet, shall we? He's the top guy. He's the main man. Give him a world title reign soon. Thanks very much. I don't need to speak too much on my love for Pepsi Phil. If you don't know by now, you will never know. So there you go. Let's batter through a few here on a quick roll. The Creed brothers need a chance / potential. Same as Ivy Nile. I'd put them up the top because they're amazing. In the ring, they are absolutely incredible, but they haven't had much else to do to put a spotlight on their talents other than just being given the odd match where really they've had to eat loss after loss. They're so good. They need a good chance. They've got a hell of a lot of potential, and it's early days in their careers, similar to Ivy Nile. Obviously, they're kind of a trio, aren't they? Dakota Kai, I love Dakota Kai. I think she's brilliant, but I would say she's in a similar position to Bronson Reed, where she's a solid mid-card wrestler just now. She's the prime example of why the women's division need some mid-card titles, in my opinion, some Women's United States or Women's Intercontinental Championships. I think that would be great, because I don't see Dakota Kai getting a title run anytime soon. So why not give her the opportunity to fight for something in the mid-card? Because she's great on TV. She's carried Damage Control, in my opinion, recently. So Dakota Kai, solid mid-card for me. Would love to see it up in the main event, but I just don't see it happening. And then similar, the exact same to Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, needs a chance. A lot of potential. But barely been on TV since coming to the main roster. And should be, because Hart and Alba are both great. Oh man, I want to put Dijak up here. Bloody love Dijak. But once again, I think when he starts to appear on Raw, he will be in the same sort of position he was in NXT. Solid mid-card guy. But I would love to see him get involved in the IC title picture. I'd love to see him even push higher in the card to be somebody who we could maybe in future talk about as a potential main eventer. I absolutely love him. But he's not even appeared on Raw yet. So you could say he's in the potential category, but he will be a solid mid-card fighter. In fact, I would put him above Braun. I'd put him above our Braun. I have more desire of seeing Dijak on my screen than Braun Strowman. And then Dom Mysterio, who is kind of in that, I would say he's high. I know he's injured just now. God knows when we'll next see him wrestle. He's high-end on the mid-card picture. Somebody with a really bright future. Somebody who has been fantastic as a heel and a real key part of the Judgment Day. He's obviously got a very high ceiling, and it's just about the steps to obviously getting up that ceiling. So we'll wait and see. Maxine Dupree, the lovely Maxine. She's a jobber at the minute. And you know what? I admire her for the effort that she's putting into getting better. And I know she's very green and very raw, but that's what happens at the start of your career in anything. So she's a jobber at the minute. I wouldn't quite put her into the potential category, because I don't think that potential can be seen quite yet, but give her time and let her learn. She's applying her trade very well, so fair play to her. Here's your man. He's moved above the mid-card for me in recent months, and I think he's moved above that mid-card section for a lot of people. Chad Gable is someone in future that I would trust as a potential main eventer, and that might sound daft and might sound far-fetched, but he is so good. And this whole thing for the IC title right now, hopefully that will show that. Hopefully that will just cook in general. Chad Gable is amazing. I love him. The next two are easy for me. Gunther is a main event caliber wrestler, as we all know. And controversially to some, maybe, so is Ilya Dragunov. He is somebody who I would throw. I know I said about Braun Breaker, he's just new here, he's just got to the main roster. I think there is light years between Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. I think Ilya is somebody who you could put the world title on right now. You could with Braun as well, I suppose. I understand you might have that opinion, and I love Braun Breaker, but Ilya is different gravy. He is somebody who would not look out of place with a big gold round his waist. Simple as that. Him and Gunther, whenever that happens, is gonna feed generations on the main roster. So absolutely both main event caliber guys for me. Big Ivar is in the same boat as Bronson Reed, just the epitome of a solid mid-card wrestler, somebody you can trust to put in with anybody and give you a great TV match. He has been brilliant since losing Big Eric from the Viking Raiders. I thought that he would really suffer, and if anything, he's done so much better on his own on the main roster. So fair play to Big Ivar, solid mid-card guy. We've then got Io, who I think you could argue now is up in this main event section. After her world title run, after being at WrestleMania against Bayley, we all know how good Io is. If anything, she probably deserves to be above Ilya at the minute, because she's actually been doing it on the main roster, being a main event female superstar. So yeah, I'm putting Io up there. Yeah, I'll put him above Carlito. Yeah, after Judgment Day, I don't see what happens with this guy. I don't. I really don't. I don't mean to be harsh at all, but I mean, you could argue maybe Jobber. He's got a bit of a controversial past, hasn't he? Jay, I know some of you will be like, yeah, main event Jay Uso, woo, main event. He's not. He's up here. He's in solid, but not quite main event. Not until he sorts out that bastard moveset. I love you, Jay, but come on, stop it with the super kicks. Thanks very much. Cheers. As I said in a video the other day, don't see him as a proper main event world champion caliber wrestler yet. I want him to be, but I don't believe it yet. And until I can believe it, he's in this role. He's in here. Let's quick fire a lot without much explanation. Who even are you down there? Big Odyssey Jones. What a funny one. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Kyrie is up in this section for me at the minute. I want her to be higher, but she's not done much. This guy is very polarising. You either like him or you hate him, and I quite like him. I'm going to put him in mid-card. I know a lot of people would have him down here because it's just not working or whatever. Send him back to NXT or something. Karrion Kross has got something there. It's just not clicking at the minute. My patience will wear thin, and for a lot of people, it's already wore far too thin. But I'm going to put him in mid card for now. Then we've got the two tag team partners of Katana Chance, Caden Carter, who I think both are in the potential category for me. I know that they've had a quick title run with the tag titles, but I think there's so much more that they can do with them, and if they can get that tag division to flourish a bit better, then there's certainly potential there. So I'm putting them in there for now, because I think when it comes to being singles competitors, they're pretty much jobbers at the minute, to be quite honest, but they're better than being jobbers. They've got potential, and that's the same with Kiana James, who's yet to have a match on Raw. Potential. I don't mean to just throw all these younger wrestlers into the same category, and as you can see, I've got a lot of the younger females in the same category, but right now we know Triple H's women's division booking isn't the strongest, and for a lot of these women, it is all about potential and just allowing to be given that opportunity. So for me, it feels like the perfect category to put them in. Oh, we all love Kofi. We all love him, but he's top tier mid card, isn't he? Like, I don't even know what the whole thing is meant to be with the New Day at the minute. They're just kind of there, but it's Kofi. We all love him. He knows where his place is in the card. He knows where it is, and I'm sure he's fine with it because he's given years to the company and they've treated him really well. Yeah, it's Kofi. Ludwig is somebody who I rate really highly. I think he's somebody who has a hell of a lot of potential, and for that reason, you could put him in here, but right now his place in the card is sort of mid-card, isn't it? He gets involved in a lot of the mid-card things. He's just really unlucky. He's that stooge to the main event level Gunter. He's better than that, and he can... Do you know what? I'm going to actually put him in the top of needs a chance / potential. I'd love a Ludwig singles run. I think it's coming. I think that they're going to eventually just split Imperium entirely. I rate him really highly. He's really impressive. He's got great charisma, good on the mic. He's somebody who can have a really bright future for me. I like Ludwig a lot. Becky's quite an easy one, isn't it? Becky's up towards the top end of the card. Whether you love her or you hate her, I know that she's quite polarising nowadays. It's Becky Lynch, and she's so reliable and world champion material, obviously. So she goes up there. Lyra is, I think, in the same boat as a kind of Braun Breaker, where she's solid, but not quite. I mean, I don't picture her winning the women's championship anytime soon, but she definitely will. She's really good. She's maybe not as charismatic as some of the other women on the roster, but she's brilliant in the ring. She's former NXT Women's Champion. She kind of reminds me of Braun in that sense, where it will come eventually, just maybe not straight away. But she's obviously rated quite highly in-house. Another easy one, and probably jumps to this level, like probably one of the top 2 or 3 guys on the Monday Night Raw roster. His work recently has been unbelievable. Drew, fantastic. He's cooking at the minute, and he will eventually get that title run that he has been so deserving and craving. Evidently, it's coming, and the rivalry with Punk will be the kind of just the glory amongst it all, won't it? So he's one of the top guys. Let's quick fire again. Let's rattle through some. Miz is just like Kofi, top mid card kind of guy. I love Miz. I've always been a huge Miz fan since I was like 9 years old. I just really love him. But we know his place now. He's been around long enough. He's one of the vets on the roster. Yeah, Liv. She's up here somewhere. I'll probably put her here. Liv Morgan. She's somebody who has a lot of potential as well, and should have another world title run. Another polarising figure, it seems, online for some reason, but I think she's great. I think she's one of the best women on the mic as well. She's one of the top women for me, one of the ones I will happily sit and listen to cut a promo all day. So yeah, Natalya in this day and age is down as a jobber. I mean it with all due respect, and a lot of people would probably put in the release column. But she's been a servant to the company, hasn't she? But she's only used to take loss after loss nowadays. Otis, similarly, big jobber. And I love Big Otis, I do. But every roster needs their jobbers. And as soon as Alpha Academy is officially finished and Chad is away doing his own thing, Otis is going to be a jobber until he finds his next tag team partner. Let's be real. Easily goes to the top of this column for me. He needs his chance. He needs to be given that platform to show what he can do. I know that he might not have the same microphone abilities as a lot of the guys that we're talking about up here, but he's one of the best wrestlers in the world and has been for a long time, our Pete. And I want to see him given that opportunity that he was given in NXT and NXT UK. Vince turning him into Butch really hurt him. It did, and he's only now getting the chance to be with Tyler for a wee while to try and get back to that level he was at going into the main roster. He is the epitome of this whole role for me. Damien, despite being champion, is still in here for me. I know he's champion now and he probably should be in the main event column, but I think that most people will agree with me in saying that this is sort of his role. You can't convince me that, if anything, I think Finn should be looked at as a higher caliber talent and more chance of a main eventer than Priest is, despite Priest being champion. You know what I'm saying? I love Big DP. He's great, but he's not in the same level as these guys up here. He's not. Oh, God bless our truth. Our truth. But he's our truth. You know what I'm saying? God bless him. He's in the same sort of category as Miz, isn't he? Where they're tag champs at the minute, so they're doing well for themselves. But he's mid card kind of guy. If anything, our truth really before the last year or so was a jobber. But people love him at the minute, so he's solidly in the mid card. This time next year, that might not be the case, but we'll see. Rey Mysterio, the days of being main event Rey Mysterio are well and truly gone, but he's one of the greatest to ever do it. He deserves all the respect in the world. It's purely just an age thing with Ray, why he's not up here. He's at that twilight stage of his career, just like we were speaking about with a couple other guys, and he's not got the same kind of draw factor as CM Punk does, who's also at the kind of twilight stage of his career. That's just being honest, but he deserves all the respect in the world. He's still a solid person to have on a wrestling roster. Ricochet is really struggling, isn't he, to try and find that place on a roster, whether it be Raw or SmackDown. And despite putting on classic after classic, in the most recent example with Ilya last night on Raw, he's just solidly in that mid-card position at the minute, and he just can't seem to push beyond it. He's been given this Speed Championship, which really has no relation to the main roster. It's its own thing on social media. But he just needs to find something in him to really push him to the next level. He's got all the talent in the world. He's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, for God's sake. Maybe it's just a charisma thing, and maybe it's the fact he's not amazing on the mic, and he's not got this over-the-top personality. But he needs to find it if he really wants to push up. I think that's the next step for him. You could argue this is the top guy. You could argue he goes above Pepsi Phil, but my love for Pepsi Phil is too strong, so we're going to put him at number 2, Seth. But it's Seth Rollins, for goodness sake. He's just one of the best to ever do it, easily. And he's a very, very, just slightly behind CM Punk for that number 1 spot for me. So I don't need to explain it. I'm waffling, really, when I'm talking about Seth. He's one of the top guys, always will be. Shayna is somebody who I would love to say should go up here, but right now she's solidly in, the mid card as well. I'll put her down. I'll put her just above Kairi Sane, I think. I would love her to be able to be back up in the conversation for these two kind of rows, but she hasn't been in recent years. That's just fact. So she's there. Sheamus, he's up here. He's main event Sheamus. He's worthy of that conversation. Absolutely. What a match again with Gunther last night. He's just one of the most underrated wrestlers to ever do it. He deserves all of the flowers that should go his way. He's so good. And I'll put him above Ilya because, my God, he's been doing it for 15 years on the main roster? That's insane. And the only time off he's had is when he's been injured. So I love you, Shamu. I absolutely love you. Rapid fire, let's go. Tozawa, jobber. Yeah, we all love you, Tozawa, but we're all pretty aware of the place in the card that you have. Tyler, same as Pete Dunne, needs a chance, a hell of a lot of potential. I mean, he came onto the scene at 16, 17 years old, and already was one of the best in the UK, and he's just so good. I love him. If people don't know, I was a huge Mustache Mountain man. And if you don't know, the opening music to the Select the Thunder podcast on my main channel is actually Tyler Bates' WCPW theme. So that shows you how much I love Tyler Bate. And he needs that chance one day. And he's got years to go, so it doesn't need rushed by any stretch of the imagination. But just do the right things with him. Do something good with him and Dunn. Give them a tag right title run. They were last pick in the draft. It's insane to me. Why? I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, I'll do them the respect of putting them to the top of it, but where's the other one? There is Cruz, Del Toro, and Joaquin Wild. I was about to say Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. Either put them in NXT or release them, because, yeah, similar to his brother Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, solid mid-card guy, part of the New Day, been so entertaining for so long, but that's where they really are in the card now, isn't it? Sammy's one of the top guys. Sammy's up there for me, I think, and we all know that. He's amazing. It's Sami Zayn. He has dethroned Gunther after the 666-day Intercontinental title run. He has been trusted with main events at the biggest shows, been involved in the biggest storylines. He has been one of the MVPs of WWE in the last decade for me. He is a top guy and a main event caliber superstar. And down to the final two. Zelina might be the most unsure I've been of anybody in this entire video. I don't know what to think of Zelina. She's decent. She had that really good showing against Rhea Ripley last year, but she just kind of cuts about with the LWO. And if I put her in release, then the whole LWO, apart from Rhea, is just gone, basically. She's down the bottom of the mid-card section for me. And then finally, I will say this now, so I don't need to repeat it in the future. I love Zoe Stark. I think she is incredible. One of my favourite women's wrestlers at the minute. And you might be like, what? Why? What? I think she's great. I think she's brilliant. I think she's going to be a star. I absolutely love her. I think she's great. But right now, her place is similar to Shayna, where it's in the mid-card. But I feel like she has been shown a little bit more trust than, the likes of Shayna and the likes of Kyrie and the likes of Zelina, where she gets these one-on-one matches. For example, her King of the Ring qualifier, Queen of the Ring qualifier, was televised. Shayna's isn't. And I think that's a testament to what they think of Zoe. I think they see the potential that does lie with her. So right now, she's in the mid-card. This time next year, I hope I can move it up. So there you go. There is my tier list of the Raw roster. And I think it's a pretty good assessment, a pretty accurate assessment. Obviously, it's my own personal assessment. People will be like, you're releasing Carlito. I know I am. I would be doing that. I'm pretty happy with this. I think it shows that Monday Night Raw has got a really nice balance. And I don't know what SmackDown will turn out like. We'll do that on Friday. But I think Raw has got a really nice balance where you've got a lot of trusted main eventers. You've got a lot of up-and-coming talents who are making their way to being trusted main eventers. You've got a solid mid-card with some great TV wrestlers like Dijak, Bronson Reed, and Ivar. And then you've got some great young talent who just need that chance. I think there's a really good balance on Monday Night Raw. So there you go. That's my final assessment. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So that does it for today. Thank you for tuning in to my Raw roster tier list for the 2024 installment of the WWE Draft. I'd like to know what you think about some of my selections and your opinions on certain wrestlers in the comments, so please get involved. But for today's video on 118 Wrestling, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about King of the Ring. Can't wait, so I'll see y'all next time.